I know it's dangerous, but I have to do it to stay competitive. I can't count the number of times I've heard this phrase from a fellow wrestler during wrestling season describing their ordeals of cutting weight to make a weight class. The sunken in eyes and cheeks, or being full-on sick, cutting weight is just dangerous. But some wrestlers see it as the only way that they can win. Today we will be discussing the benefit of cutting weight, the effects it has on your body, as well as a healthier way to cut weight. Now let's look at the benefits. What is the purpose of wrestling? It's to win, right? Well, in the mind of a wrestler, cutting weight means you have less fat. Having less fat means you have more weight within your allotted amount of weight that you can give to muscle. More muscle means more strength. And according to Orion Lee at breakingmuscle.com, more muscle and more strength leads to winning. So if that's what it takes, that's what some wrestlers will give. Unfortunately, this one benefit does not weigh out the effects of cutting weight. We understand that cutting weight makes you lose weight, but what are some of the underlying, more unwanted effects of cutting weight? After interviewing a former weight-cutting wrestler and also my brother, Matt Krings, I discovered one of the techniques he used to cut weight. While shivering in the basement, a process while leaving the window open in his basement during the winter to allow his body to use energy to keep himself warm, and eating very little, my brother got walking pneumonia. This left him very sick. This is one of the more severe short-term effects of cutting weight. Others include a loss in concentration and focus, as well as increased depression, rage, and a very weak, worn-out feeling. Some of the longer-term effects include heart and kidney problems, as well as a binge eating habit because of habits formed as a youth while you're wrestling leads to a higher rate of obese former wrestlers. With all these negative side effects, who would ever want to cut weight? But if you must, there are better ways to do so. A healthier way to cut weight described by Matt Kurlinger of Stack.com starts out with starting early. The earlier you start, the more gradual your weight loss can be. So since your body is not changing so drastically, it will not reject or feel as worn out while you're cutting the weight. Second, you must replenish your body after workouts with lots of protein. You use proteins because they'll turn into muscle faster, as where carbohydrates will turn into fat. Third, you have to cut salt, because salt makes you retain water, which makes you retain weight. Many wrestlers confuse this with the next step, which means cutting water. You should not do this. You should avoid cutting water until right up before weigh-ins when you need to get rid of that water weight. Otherwise, you should be drinking water the entire time you're cutting in order to avoid that hungry feeling. And finally, you should eat. Now, many wrestlers also miss this step as they just plain out don't eat. Now, this doesn't mean you should pig out, but you should eat small amounts, but foods that are better for you. One way that high schools are also trying to prevent weight cutting is with a BMI test. This test measures your body mass index and only allows you to lose such a percentage of your body weight each week or you're not allowed to wrestle. Unfortunately, wrestlers can find a way around this by starting to cut weight earlier. Finally, one last tip is to stay closer to your actual wrestling weight year-round. This will provide more ease into that transitional competitive weight. Finally, the decision is really up to you. If the benefits outweigh the risks, then go for it. Cut the weight. But before you do, consider the effects. Consider how it will affect your body and why you're cutting. If it's worth it to you, go ahead. But remember, there is a healthier way to do so. Finally, either way, cutting weight is a part of the sport, and it is here to stay.